Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I've broken out my full Hogwarts display again because the user Forrest Holbrook asked me to make a video showing where to display the advent calendar items within your Hogwarts. So I've got two big piles over here. That's the 2019 advent calendar, that's the 2021, and then I've also got the 2020 little poly bag on the left side. So I'm basically just going to break this out right now. This is in the arrangement that I keep it on my shelf where I go like Great Hall, Clocktower, Whomping Willow, Astronomy Tower. I'm basically going to just get rid of those two and focus in on the Great Hall and Clocktower and show you how to display your items there. So the reason I'm going to switch these around is because the way I keep it displayed, my Yule Ball section is in between the Great Hall and the Marble Staircase Tower. So I don't want this part in the middle, so I'm going to switch it back to Lego's configuration because that keeps the Yule Ball like in the Great Hall, which I think will be better for most people's displays. So this is the configuration I'll be showing you guys how to display your advent calendar builds in, because this puts the Yule Ball like directly into the Great Hall, which is where it was in the movie, and so that's better for display purposes. So the first thing you're going to want to do with all of your advent calendar builds is sort out everything that you don't need. So I have everything in a massive pile right now, but for example, from the 2019 advent calendar, you don't need any of the mini builds because those don't really have any place in the actual like Yule Ball. So you can just get rid of those. I'd also advise getting rid of duplicate minifigures. I already have Harry, Ron, and Hermione from the Clocktower, so they're completely unnecessary to me. As for the first advent calendar, I've already put those teachers into the Great Hall at the teacher's table. And then where I advise putting Harry and Ron is in the Gryffindor dorms. That's where I have them right now in the Whomping Willow set with their Weasley sweaters on, because, I mean, that makes the most sense for me because they are holiday minifigures and that's where they get their sweaters, so I just put them in the beds there. Okay, now I've organized my advent calendars a little bit better. So here on the right, we have all of the items that could be placed somewhere, but that don't really have a good home, such as like the banners and all of the Great Hall banquet tables. And then you can see I've arranged all of the Christmas trees and Yule Ball tables right back there by the dance section. So that's the best like setup that I came up with. Now the next problem is deciding who gets to dance, because the problem with this advent calendar is that even though it completes like 3 more couples at the Yule Ball, there's only spots for 4 couples to dance. So now you're going to have to pick and choose. So right now you can see I've got Fleur and Cedric dancing. I have Harry and Ron. And then I've got the only actual 2 couples that we had before this, Hermione and Crumb. And then I have Hagrid and Madame Maxime. So I think that I'm going to switch these out and put Cho in there. And then I don't really know what I'm going to do about Harry and Ron because they didn't actually dance at the ball with their dates. So I think that this is the Yule Ball display I'm happiest with. It's a little bit cramped, but I think that you still get the whole feel of the ball. So you've got the Christmas tree in the corner, then you have like the other smaller trees from the advent calendar scattered around. No matter what, you're going to have 4 Yule Ball characters that aren't going to be dancing. So I've got Harry with the Patil twins, and then I have just Dumbledore watching everybody. Over here, I've made a little music corner, so that's got the piano, the gramophone, the microphone, and the sheet music. I mean, if you wanted to, you could pretend that Dumbledore knows how to play the piano, and then he can be serenading everybody. So I think that this is definitely the best setup for the Yule Ball. However, I'm definitely not going to keep my display like this because I display the exterior of my Hogwarts. There's not a lot of room on my shelf for such a big interior display. And also it's just too many little parts for me. I don't want to have to like mess around with those every time I rearrange Hogwarts. So I doubt I'm going to keep it like this, but I think that this is the best option to like cram everything from the advent calendars that's related to the Yule Ball or Christmas in here. So then the next question is, what can you do with all of this other stuff? You could try putting the banners inside the Great Hall. I don't think that would look really good because there's not enough space in the Great Hall, I think, for stuff like this. So honestly, if you aren't going to put these in the Great Hall, I'd advise just like throwing them in a bag and keeping them there, which is pretty much what I do. This little candle can actually go anywhere. Like for me, I think I'm just going to put it like right here with Hermione, because things like that are just like really small. Well, it's not going to fit there, but builds like that are just small accent pieces that you could put in any area of Hogwarts. The 2 fireplaces are a bigger issue. I really like this build. I like this one too, just not quite as much, but there's not really a good spot for them. So what you could do with this fireplace is you could put it like around here, and then that way it forms a little wall between the rest of the Yule Ball and then the marble staircase tower. So that kind of stops everything from just bleeding out into other areas of the castle. And so, I mean, you could continue with this fireplace, like put it on the other end, even though it doesn't connect, and just keep using it as a little wall. And again, that just fences in the Yule Ball section a little bit more to keep it separate from the rest of the display. The snowman build could also be included in the Yule Ball if you want, or again, you could just put it on the outside or put it away for safekeeping. This little couch build, again, you could try putting it like behind the Yule Ball as like a seating area, but I just don't think it fits the Yule Ball color scheme very well, so I wouldn't put it there. We do have the Goblet of Fire. Now, this actually has a great spot where it can go, because on the bottom of the Clocktower, we do have the Goblet of Fire over there that came with the Clocktower set. So you can just take this one out because it's definitely not as cool of a build. Now, I don't think this one is going to fit here because I think, yeah, the flame's a little bit too tall, but you could just break off like that base and put it there. And that I still think looks better than the previous Goblet of Fire. But, you know, you can mess around with it. You don't have to use a brick here. You could use like 2 plates or 1 plate, and you can find your own way to make it fit there and still have that height. Okay, I was actually wrong. You can fit the entire Goblet of Fire there. You just have to make sure to get it under that brick. It does cut off the flame a little bit, but again, I think it looks a lot better than the goblet that LEGO included in the Clocktower set. And I mean, if you want, you can just display both of them together. But yeah, that definitely looks a lot better in the entrance hall than the other one did. As for the Triwizard Cup, what I would advise is just taking out this chest, which I've just filled with all of the extra wands of the people dancing at the Yule Ball. And then you can just put the cup right there in the corner. Again, I think that that looks fantastic. And if you're like me and you want to keep everything that came in the set in one place, you can still just have the treasure chest there, just not on both studs. And again, I really like that look. I like fitting as much Goblet of Fire stuff in one place as possible because I don't want to cram it all into the Great Hall since I'm trying to keep that as like the year 1 area. So for the rest of these builds, I think that what you can do with the presents, you can either stack them on the tables in the Great Hall, like all the way back there, just like by the food, or you could try scattering them around the trees in the Yule Ball section. The only reason I don't want to do that is because, like I said, there's already a lot of small things in this Yule Ball display, so I don't want to clutter up like the available floor space by stuffing it with presents. So again, I would probably stack them on the Great Hall tables, or you can just put them around Hogwarts and other areas. The problem here is that there's no room in the dorms. It would be great if you could put like all of these presents into like the Ravenclaw and Gryffindor dorms, but there's just not enough room in them. And so that kind of sucks because I really would like the common rooms and the dorms and everything to have a little bit more space. Okay, so here's my Great Hall scene. Now this worked out a little bit better than I thought it would. I actually do really like the look of the presents all stacked up on the tables. It does make it look very Christmassy. You can see I did fit the Ravenclaw and Gryffindor banners back there in the corner. However, there's not enough room for the Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw ones as well. So that's kind of a drawback for me. I think you could fit one more next to Slytherin, but because you can't put one more next to Gryffindor, I didn't want to include one there. So again, I don't love that. And this really illustrates my biggest problem with the Great Hall set, which is that there's just not enough space on the inside. For such a big set, I think that they could have used the interior space a little bit better. Like the teachers did not need this much room, and the tables don't even have 2 benches on either side. So I mean, that's what I really appreciate about like these little tables. This one is from the 2020 polybag. These 2 are from the 2019 advent calendar, but they have 2 benches on either side in like the same amount of studs, like in the same 4 stud width that these tables. So I just think that LEGO could have done a little bit better considering that they have the same amount of space and they managed to fit 2 benches on the other tables. That being said, this one is definitely my favorite table. It is a little bit wider because it covers 6 studs, but it looks the best and it can fit the most food and the most minifigures. So I definitely like it better. So this Great Hall display isn't bad if you want to use the 2019 advent calendar, but I just prefer the Yule Ball display because it's really hard to fit things into the Great Hall unless you want to completely redesign it yourself and add like your own interior features. You could swap out like the banners in the back for some of these Christmas trees. These smaller ones would fit really well back there, but again, because they're so far back, I don't think you'd be able to see them very well, so that's why I didn't bother adding them. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is the Architect of Hogwarts statue. This was a really great thing to get in the 2019 advent calendar, but sadly there's not really anywhere that you can put him in this set. He sits in like the entrance hall, but there is no entrance hall to this set because you just walk straight into the Great Hall from these doors. So you could put him in the courtyard, except he would take up a lot of the space because this is a very small courtyard. And then I wanted to put him in the marble staircase tower, but there's really no room because once you have the stairs out, like there's that little frog back there, but there's no space big enough for this pedestal, and besides he's taller than the actual floor. So that kind of annoys me because I really wish that we could place him somewhere easily. And again, like I really like the Great Hall set. It's just that the interior spaces in this set are some of the most cramped of like the entire Harry Potter reboot line. All right, well, that does it for this video. I hope that this helped some of you guys get some ideas about what you could do with your advent calendar builds. These builds are really nice because unlike the Star Wars advent calendar or even like the City and Friends ones, they're really made to work with other sets. 2019 was made to work with the Great Hall. 2020 was made to work with the Yule Ball. And I definitely think that the 2020 calendar is very successful. I mean, it really just makes the entire Yule Ball scene look a lot better, as you can see. And if you play around with your own Hogwarts layout, you could find a way to integrate like both of these displays, kind of like I have here, even though my two sections aren't connected. So I hope that you guys can make your own displays now, and I'd love to see like videos or pictures of them if you guys used any of these ideas. But that's it for today, so don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.